Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. I'll tell you one of these stories about the business, right? Some of the guys that I've been fortunate enough to be around, when I was in rotation, uh, they taught me a lot of the lessons that I try to teach other people today about how people are and how people act, right? And these two brothers that I'm about to be talking about, and for the sake of the show, I'm gonna call them Benny and Tony, right? They were two brothers that, for a long while, I looked up to in the game, in the business, because they had it together, or so it seemed. But as time went on, I learned that the way they were able to maintain their power base and had so many people under their thumbs is that they manipulated their positions and used the power of the positions that they had to force people that, uh, for lack of a better term, didn't want to be a part of the business. They would force them to become a part of the business, or they wouldn't let them make money, right? And I'm particularly talking about dope boys, right? These brothers, one of them was the 9 and one of them was the number 2 on the compound, right? And we were briefly on the compound together. This is before I ascended to become, the 9 on the compound. But I was on the compound with these two brothers, and I used to look up to them too, right? Because like I said, they had it going on. I'm talking about everything that you would want or need, and as a gangster, and they had the respect of everybody on the compound and so on and so forth. Like I say, on the surface of it all, right? But as time went on, I found out that, the way they were able to maintain their power was that they forced people, they forced people to bend to their will. And at the time, I thought that was what was up. I thought that was what was up. They catch these dope boys coming in, right? I'm going to tell you about this dude. There's one dude named David, right? David came into the system, man. He had like a little light 15. I know that sounds crazy saying a light 15 because ain't nothing light about 15 years, especially at 85%. You know what I'm saying? But David had this little light 15, and he was doing his time the way he does it. You know what I'm saying? He trying to get a little bread. You know what I'm saying? Stay out of the way for the most part. Take care of whatever he needed in his cell. Keep his commissary shelf straight. Keep his book straight. Go to visit. See his girl. Do all of those things. Stay on the phone. You know what I'm saying? All of those types of things, right? And they stepped to him one day. Now, you got to keep in mind that gangster disciples, whatever compound that, gangsters on, it's almost like guaranteed that they're running. It's been very few situations that I've even heard of. It never was when I was on the compound, but very few situations that I even heard that gangster disciples were in the minority on the compound, right? So you got to keep in mind how much that would affect the psyche of a person when the number 1 and the number 2 step to them. You know what I'm saying? Because keep in mind, like I said, the number 1 and the number 2 would always have security somewhere close by. If they were not right there on the scene, they will be somewhere within a few steps in case something went down, they can get to him. You feel me? So when they stepped to this dude named David, David was a dope boy, like I said. When they stepped to him, what he would see is them two walking towards him with about 4 or 5, maybe 6 people that are standing around them. And all of them hard hitters. All of them loped out, got their shades on, and they got their gloves on. Look like they ready to, chew down on a piece of steel, ready to do it. They built to go. They made to go. They want to go. That's how it is when you secured it. You want to show the 9 that you're going to take care of business. That's how you're going to move up. So when they all step to David, David's looking at him like, hey, man, what's up, blah, 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 right? Now, I'm observing this from a distance, right? And I'm watching. I see the fear on his face as soon as they step to him. Now, don't get it twisted. David is not a coward or anything like that. But the power of that blue wave when it steps to you, I'm telling you, it's something to see. It'll scare you if you're not familiar with it, because most of the time when the folks step to you, it's something going on. They don't do that just for fun. Ain't nobody walking up, hey man, how you doing? This isn't, no. When the folks is moving, they moving about the business. So when they step to David, they tell him, say, look man, been checking you out, been seeing you getting your bread around here and all these kind of things and all this and that. But at the end of the day, you ain't breaking bread. You ain't breaking bread with us. You ain't breaking bread with us. What's going on, right? So he looking at him like confused, don't know really what to say about the situation and all this and that, right? So he's looking at him and it's like, what you talking about? He said, man, look here. Anything moving on this compound, I need to get a piece of that. I need to get a piece of that. So he's still looking at him like, man, I ain't got no business with y'all. I ain't doing nothing with y'all. I ain't interfering with nothing y'all got going. He's running down this whole list as if folks them care about that. Don't nobody care about that. What they want to know right now is why they not eating off your plate. So he keep looking at him and saying all this and that. Now, at that time, folks them closing in on him. They closing in on him. Now, let me show you how that works. Okay, when they walk up on them, you got the 1 and the 2 in the front, right? You got the security behind them, right? So when they start to close in, this is what happened. The 1 and 2, they just step back. And the 6 brothers that's on security for folks them, they step up and they encircle. Now, folks them still talking to him. The 1 and 2 still talking, saying, look, bro, this is what it's going to be. If you ain't with us, you paying. It's as simple as that. If you ain't with us, you paying. So what's it going to be? And he said, man, I ain't trying to do all that. I just want to do my time and go home and hand me a little bread and all this and that. Right? Saying all the stuff that most people in the penitentiary would say. But folks them don't want to hear that because folks them been watching. They've been watching and keeping up because they want to know before they step to him, is it worth it? Is this worth it? So when they finally step to him, they know it's worth it. They've done their homework. They know how much money this dude is getting. They know how much bread he's getting. So when they step to him, they already know the business, no matter what he say. And if it ain't true, it better be true. Because at the end of the day, they do not come to play. So he said, look, let me think about it. Folks them said it ain't nothing to think about. I'll see you tomorrow. Either you break bread tomorrow when we step to you, or it's going to be some problems. Now keep in mind, folks them don't want him to really break them off. Because see, these 2 brothers, like I said, I learned in the long run, these 2 brothers play the long game. They don't want no little pack here, pack there. They want the whole pack. They want the whole pack. They like the mob. You know, the mob moves in the neighborhood and they come in and they start putting the charge down on you at your grocery store or your restaurant or your bar, whatever you got, right? They say, well, they throw the cocktails through the window, bust the windows out and say, we'll make sure that don't happen no more. But they're the ones that had them thrown through the window. So now, in exchange for them making sure that don't happen no more, you paying them a little bit. But the price is never enough. They keep going up and up and up. It gets to the point to where now they become partners in the business. And then after they become partners in the business, they run the business in the ground. The mob, they were bad businessmen. And that's just how folks then were. Folks didn't want him breaking them off a little something, throwing them some crumbs. No. They wanted the whole pack. But before they would be able to get the whole pack, they needed to pull him into the fold. This was their hustle. I've said to y'all many times, right? People in here have to find a way to survive this experience. What's your hustle? These 2 brothers, it turns out that they were using the organization, the power of the organization, the fear that people have of the organization as a way to get people, particularly dope boys, to do their will. Now, don't get it twisted. I know out on the town, you're looking at these dope boys, and they put on real tough, like they this, that guy, and all this and that, right? But I'm going to tell you something. Most of them, not all of them, because you got some real hard hitters in the game, and they know who they are. But the ones that's soft as cotton, they know who they are too. And everybody else does too. So this particular guy, he comes up in here, and he's saying, look, I'll holler at you tomorrow. Now, what he don't understand is when folks been walking out, they already done figured it out. When he come tomorrow, they're going to tell him that he has to get down and be gone. So tomorrow comes. They meet him on the ball field. Now, let me show you again. This time, they don't have security. It's just the 1 and the 2, and they step to him. And I'll never forget, they were sitting down in the grass. Like, this particular penitentiary, right, it's got grass right next to the fence. It's kind of like on a hill. And it's where people usually go and sit and talk when they want privacy. Now, you can see everything coming from left to right and in front, right? But you get that kind of privacy. And they had security for them standing off in the distance. They didn't want nobody to hear what they was about to say. They didn't want nobody to hear what they were about to say. But this is how the game went. They got him sitting down over there between them, right? They talking to him. They break out the joint. They roll that thing up. They sitting there. They smoking, passing it back and forth. And they telling him. Now, this is the macking part. This is the macking part. You feel what I'm saying? They sitting there telling him, man, look, man, it ain't what you think, man. We just trying to eat. Now, keep in mind, when you a bully, you really don't care what the response of the other person is going to be. You just want them to hear what you're saying. You don't care about what they think. You don't care about what they're going to say. You don't care about how they feel. So they tell him, say, look, as they smoking that weed, they, look here, Mike. It ain't what you think, bro. Then they pass the joint to him, let him take a hit. Make sure he take a hit of it too, right? They looking at it. Look, you get down with us, you ain't got to worry about none of this no more, man. Ain't nobody going to mess with you. Ain't nobody going to say nothing to you, man, about your business. You just get down with us, man. Let us eat, you eat. That's how this thing go. That's the penitentiary. So they can see that he's still doubting what they're saying. Not because they're lying to him. He knows that they're telling the truth. Muscle comes. People push on each other in here. He just don't want no part of this lifestyle. He's seen what it's like. He knows the truth about gangs. He don't want to be a part of it. He don't want to be a part, but he don't want to stop getting that money. He don't want to stop getting that money. So he did what most people do. As they were passing the joint back and forth, he said, man, what I got to do? Stupid mistake. He said, what do I have to do? They said, well, we got to put you down first. Because once we put you down, you're one of us. Then everything is moving the way it's supposed to move. You feel what I'm saying? He said, man, I ain't trying to go through all that. Because back in the day, y'all, you didn't get blessed in. Now, you get blessed in today. It's a ceremony. You repeat the oath and all of that kind of stuff, right? Back in the day, hands on, man. Hands on. It was 360 back in the day. Hands on. You understand? And those of y'all out there, y'all know what I mean when I say 360. Ooh-wee. You know? Rough, rugged, and raw. That's how it went down. But this is one of the reasons they didn't want security over there to hear the deal that they were about to make with him. Because this is how they get down. They tell him, look, you don't have to worry about getting beat in. You ain't got to worry about that. What we going to do is we going to send some people in the room, and it's going to look like it's hard, but it ain't going to be hard. You just got to be able to take it. You just got to be able to take it. Just for a couple of minutes, and you're going to be just fine. Right? And then they go even further to tell him, look, we're going to move you up and put you in a position in about 6 months. That way, you'll be like us. You can call shots. You ain't got to be worrying about getting sent out and all that old kind of stuff. They breaking the game down to him. Now, this is where they lying to him, though. They're not finna give him no spot in 6 months to where he ain't got to do nothing. They ain't finna do that. They making it sound good, though. They making it sound real good. They telling him how smart he is, how much he's meant for this life. You know what I'm saying? All of that kind of stuff. They finna take him under their wing, and they gonna make sure everything is straight for him. He don't have to worry about nothing. They just want that pack. And they gonna get that pack. So, against his better judgment, because he was scared to death. You understand what I'm saying to you? He was scared to death. He says, okay, when do we do it? Says they tell him this weekend. We're going to make all the arrangements. It's going to go down this weekend. But in the meantime, in between time, let's talk about this pack. So that's when they start getting into the details. How much can you get? What's the ticket? Who's your mule? They getting all the information that they can out of him about how he's moving. Why is that important? Because they're going to make sure that that move becomes their move, not his. Now see, it's one thing about being a part of the order. They ain't supposed to be extorting nobody. They ain't supposed to be doing nothing. And this is a form of extortion. But a lot of brothers don't believe it's like that. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what a lot of brothers believe. I'm going to tell y'all something. Let me give you something now. Let me give you some game right here, right now. This is what a lot of brothers believe. Gangsters do what they want to. Suckers do what they can. That's the motto. That's the motto they go by. Gangsters do what they want to. Suckers do what they can. And that's how a lot of brothers live. So when they putting the muscle down on somebody and that brother, that individual don't push back, even though they have no win, he's already sucker category. He let us push on him. But see, they don't realize that the only reason he's doing it is because he's scared. And they don't really care why he agreed. All they care about is that he agreed to this. He's, in their mind, voluntarily accepting it in their mind. Because they look at it like if somebody stepped to them like that, they ain't going. Yeah, they say that because they got the whole mob behind them. They got the whole mob behind them. Because let me tell you a little bit about Benny and Tony, man. Let me tell you a little bit about them. See, when they became gangsters, right, they didn't do it because gin was in them or they believe in the cause. They didn't become gangsters because of that. They became gangsters for the protection of the organization. They became gangsters of the organization because they had all of this time and they wanted to make sure, that nothing happened to them. You feel me? See, they forgot all about that. They forgot all about why they truly became gangsters. But when they became gangsters, they saw how, in their minds, it was easy to manipulate brothers and move to the top. But once they got a taste of that power, they didn't want to let it go. But this is one thing about being the nine and the number two, being in charge. Look here, man. Brothers want to eat. And if you can't provide a way for them to eat, guess what? They will replace you by hook or by crook. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? They will move you out of the way. They will start backbiting and slandering your name and all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, it's all about, can you provide a way for them to eat? And if you can't do that, you are of no use to them. You are of no use. They don't want to hear all of this positive talk. They don't want to hear all of this and that. Can I eat? Can I eat off your plate? And if you can't provide a way for them to eat, they're going to get you out the way. And Tony and Benny knew that. So as the years went on, they figured out a way to always be able to provide a way for the fam to eat off of their plate. If they eating off of their plate, they maintain their control over everybody. And the way to do that is to catch these dope boys coming into the penitentiary because you know they're scared. You know they're scared. See, them dope boys, they are used to people doing whatever they want to because they got the plug and they got the money. You feel me? But in the penitentiary, look here, man. Gangsters run the flow. Think what you want to think. Gangsters run the flow. And they run it by fear. Now, David, it's time for him to become a gangster. The weekend is here. They got all the information they need out of him. Now they got to lock him in. They got to lock him in. But they found out this man got plugs out this world. It's no amount of dope that he can't get. All he got to do is make the call. And they are about to blow this thing up. They finna turn this thing into something that David wasn't even thinking about. They finna take it to a whole nother level. A whole nother level of the game. And okay, I need y'all to check out this next episode so you're going to find out how high they going to go with this thing. I want you to check me out on the next episode now. For real. Don't forget to check out my book, y'all. In the comment section, you're going to see where you can click on that link and go get a copy of my book, Rivals, right? Check that thing out, y'all. And the movie will be coming out soon. I'm telling you, we're going to make history with this thing. We're going to make history. You feel what I'm saying? This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.